Greetings, punks, goths, metalheads, herberts, herbetters, Martians and subterranean folk. How you're all doing? My name's John and this is the Health Anarchist channel. Well, we're doing an indoor video today and it seems like a while since I've done an indoor video, but I don't think it is that long really. You might notice that I've decorated since last time. It was well overdue. I've not decorated for years. And it was a really dark brown colour in here, and it's a bit depressing, to be honest. I thought it was a good choice at the time, but I don't think it was, and it was very hard to shoot videos in here because it was so dark. I had about 4 lights on just to get, and the big open window near me, and even then it was just about normal light levels for a video, so hopefully it's a bit better from now. And apart from videos, generally I find it much more uplifting, this lighter colour. It's actually a grey called Manhattan Grey, and I got it at half price, so you know, but I like the colour. I was thinking of getting it anyway, Manhattan Grey, so yeah, I'm really pleased. It's like I say, it was long overdue and it's much more uplifting now. And it matches perfect still, you know, being a grey. I like it. So I thought I'd do a bit of a different type of video today. Just talking about some of my other interests besides walking and history and that sort of thing, and goth music. Well, one's tied into goth music a bit, and that's one of my interests is making music, being in bands and that kind of thing. I've been in loads of bands over the years. So I started a new project last year with other people, and that's like a post-punk goth band, and we've done quite a few songs so far. We've done like an EP and a single, and I've been doing a few more tracks lately, a few more songs. So the idea is we're going to try and make it into an album, but we need to do a few more songs, so we've just been recording those. I've done all the music for those. I'll let you hear a bit of it now and see how it is on the computer as I'm recording it. So that's one of the latest tracks that I'm working on. It's amazing nowadays, you can record a lot of stuff at home. Years ago you'd have to go into a big studio and you can get pretty good results. I'm not saying these are as good as big studio results, but they're good enough, I think, to give a demonstration of what your band and your music is about. If you want to hear some of the tracks we've already done, there's a link in the description below to Bandcamp, and you can listen to those tracks free on there. So creating music is one of my other interests besides walking and the outdoors and history and that kind of thing. And I thought it'd be nice to share these type of things with you guys so you get to know me a bit better. So one of the other big interests in my life, and it's a bit nerdy I'm afraid, but I have got a nerdy side, I always have done. And it's playing role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons. And I've been interested in that kind of thing since I was a teenager really, and you know, it's just a bit of fantasy escapism for a while, and I think it's a brilliant pastime. Currently we're playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition and I'm the dungeon master for that, so I kind of run the game. We also play other games sometimes like Call of Cthulhu, which is a role-playing Lovecraft type game. So if you're into sort of H.P. Lovecraft horror stories, you know, I think you'd really love Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, the tabletop role-playing games. And some people think you've got a big board and you haven't. It's all goes on in people's imagination. Say for Dungeons and Dragons, I'm the dungeon master, so I kind of facilitate the game. And then we have the players who play the game, and you create the game between you. And if you've got a good team of players and a good DM, then you can create some amazing adventures, The DM, the Dungeon Master, he explains the story, what's going to happen, and the players make choices of what they're going to do. So you have lots of dice rolls as well in Dungeons and Dragons. You'll be making lots of dice rolls to see if your character successfully hits a monster or a bad guy, or successfully casts a spell. And as a DM, I'll be playing the monsters or the bad guys, and I'll be making rolls against the players. So it's a very immersive, imaginative game. And you know, if you've got a good DM and a good set of players, then it can be a really good experience. For example, good DMing, the more you can describe a situation or a scenario, and the more realistic you can paint it in the characters' minds, then the more immersed they will feel and the more they will want to put back into the game. For example, I could describe a situation for the players in a game like you go in a sewers underneath the city, and I could describe it like this. I could say you're going along an old sewer tunnel, and you can carry on going straight ahead, or there's a passageway branching off the side and you can hear some noises coming from there. I could describe it like that. But good DMing is you describe it a bit differently. You'd say it's a very claustrophobic environment in these old sewer tunnels underneath the city. There's a very bad odour of sulphurous rotten eggs. You're careful not to brush against the walls too much, because each time you do, there's like a brown slimy filth sticking to your clothes and your robes. You can see a narrow tunnel branching off to one side. You can just make out some steps down there from the glow off your lantern in the distance. Ahead of you, the water at the bottom of the sewer seems to go deeper. You can hear strange noises like groaning ahead of you. And basically, sort of an example of how I DM it. Or you could be in another situation. You could be in a forest, and as a DM I could describe that to a player. I could say you're in a very old forest, the track goes ahead about 30 feet and then it branches off to the left and to the right. To the right you can see a hill and some ruins, or to the left the path gets darker and you can see some spider webs. Or I could describe it like this: your characters find themselves deep in an ancient forest. The strong smells of pine and moss as you walk along the path. Eventually it branches off to the left and to the right. To the right you can see in the distance there's a hill with some ancient ruins on top of it. Or to the left you can see the path gets darker and darker and more gloomy, and you can see huge spider webs dangling from branches and crossing across the path. What do your characters want to do next? Which would be another example. I find as a dungeon master, the better you describe a situation, the more the characters are immersed in the game and the more they will want to invest into the game. But like I say, it's a bit of escapism for a while and I find it a great pastime. So, as I was saying a moment ago, I started as a teenager in the 80s. I think I was about 13 when I first played it, and there was a set, an edition of D&D that was out in the 80s, and it was a famous one called the Red Box, which was very popular. And that and the ones before it were classed as version 0. Then you got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th edition where we're at now. So I started on the Red Box, and then I think about the age of 18, 19 I had a massive break for decades, and then I came back to it, you know, at a much older age, and I started picking up some other sets of D&D now. Started off looking for the Red Box, but I was lucky and I found an even older, rarer edition than that. And this is the one just before the Red Box. I'll try and show you that. But I love all the sort of vintage artwork you get on these. And yeah, we've actually played retro D&D and it was really good. Going up to the modern one, this is my Dungeon Master's Guide. This is 5th edition, and I do think 5th edition is the best edition so far. It's sort of modern, streamlined, better rules, and it's got a lot of that old vintage retro feel to it as well with the role playing, so I think it's a winner. But saying that, we have played the old retro D&D recently, and we found it was still a great game. And it really, I find, with all the additions, it just depends. If you've got a good DM and you've got a good group of players, you can have fun in any of the editions really. I personally wasn't too keen on 4th edition though. I think it had its good points and bad points, but I think that was the weakest edition. Also, going back to the 80s as a teenager, I remember they had a game that was similar to Dungeons and Dragons, but it was Middle Earth, based on Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's work. And that was Middle Earth role-playing game. Now, sadly, I didn't really play this much as a teenager. I had too much going on in my life. I would like to get back to playing some old retro Middle Earth at some point. And the other role-playing game that I mentioned, Call of Cthulhu, I've got the basic starter set there. That's got the rule books, tells you how to play it, and it's the same sort of thing. You don't have a dungeon master, you have called a games master, and he will run or facilitate the game for the players. You go around investigating things in there, and you find all the horrors of the Cthulhu mythos if you're unlucky enough. But rather than, I have run games of that as a games master, but I've played it as a player more recently, which is nice. It's nice to have a break off being the dungeon master all the time, you know, and going as a player. And I've really enjoyed the games we've had of that recently. So if I just go off on a side tangent a bit on Dungeons and Dragons, because I was really into it as a teenager. I remember, I think we were still at school. I think I was 16, and we've heard about live role playing, or LARP, which is when you go and you dress up in real life and you go through woods and stuff and you fight people dressed up as orcs with safe padded weapons, or you cast spells at people, imaginary spells, and it's kind of like, well, real life role playing. And I did that a couple of times as a teenager, and that was really good fun. We did one which was an outdoor one, which was with a live role-playing group called Spirit of Adventure, and I also did an indoor one which was in an old mill, and they had like a mobile movable dungeon which you could change around a lot, which involved big boards and scaffold, and that was really good as well. That was called The Realm, and it was in Accrington. So a couple more little sidelines from this story there. So I hope you've enjoyed me talking about some of my other interests today. I've got quite a lot of new subscribers recently, so cheers guys. Really appreciate it, it means a lot. And for all you guys who've stuck with me for ages, really appreciate your support, and thanks for staying with me. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy this video or any of my other videos, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And until the next video, don't forget, be different, stay weird, and stay free. Bye now.